Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the 62nd episode of the SuperNova Show! And I am your host, Colton Roberts. And yeah, this is gonna be a good show. We only got a few things to talk about today. We're gonna do our MCU ranking, 1 through 34. Actually, 34 through 1, I guess. Starting at the bottom of the list all the way to the top. And then we're going to talk some fan link stuff and some Schmoedown Friday Night Titans and all that shenanigans. Yeah. So, of course, I've got my the main man here. I've got Mr. Robert Kastner.
Shh, 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 shh.
Yeah.
Happy Friday the 13th, everybody out there. As I said on a previous post somewhere, what I would recommend for today is do not go paintballing in the woods with your work colleagues, especially if one of them is very insistent on being hungry, because chances are you're going to get murdered.
Yeah, or all the good movies around this particular date, when you apparently have sex and then immediately die. So be abstinent tonight, fellas.
Don't smoke weed or bang in a sleeping bag or a tent.
Yes. So
bad things will happen to you.
Yeah. So yeah.
Heed the advice, everybody out there. That's a PSA for Friday the 13th.
Yes.
More than likely there will be another one this year. But in case there is not, this is the important one then. So please.
Yes. So how have you been?
It's been a long week. Had an interesting work week, just based on a specialized assignment that I was given for the purpose of trying to help me out for the future. But in those situations, while the week can go quick, didn't necessarily want to go as quick because this assignment was really going to help me, and I wanted to try to get as much done as possible. And I got a lot done, but I wish I could have got a little bit more. Otherwise, it wasn't too bad. I got to see my hockey team, which is playing right now, be on the verge of closing out a team. But then our best player got hurt in the last game on Wednesday. So now my team is trying to close out what many people thought were a superior opponent. Really about 3 or 4 guys down. And it's a struggle right now as we're about halfway through the game. So that's if you're wondering sometimes why I look down, it's because I'm keeping track of it. And I want to make sure that bad stuff does not happen.
So who is your hockey team?
Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm a Pittsburgh guy. They're playing the Rangers. They're up 3-2. They're at home. They have a lead right now. The thing is, they had a lead on Wednesday night, and they blew it. So any lead is not safe at this point. So I just want them to close it out, because I don't want them to play Game 7 on the road in Madison Square Garden. It's not good.
Yeah, I've been to like one hockey game. Actually, that's not true. 2 hockey games. They were both Hurricane games, and man, are they not good.
I mean, they're good now.
Okay.
They're. I think they and the Bruins. I think they're going to Game 7, and whoever wins that plays the winner of the Pens Rangers series. So the Hurricanes might play the Penguins in round 2.
Yay! Well,
and the Penguins would, the Canes would be favored more than likely. The last time that the Pens played the Canes was I think it was the 2009 Eastern Finals, and the Pens swept them. But the Canes have been good since then and done better. And it's a tied game now, so now I'm sad, but it's okay. We'll be fine. I won't let it permeate into the podcast.
But yeah, it was a good week. I started my new job.
Yes.
So that's always a little exhausting. Yep. Being actually at an office, like doing stuff, that's been very interesting.
My job's trying to make me go back to an office, and I really don't want to.
Yep. I mean, I don't mind. Like but before when I could just do my work whenever,
Yeah.
um, and from the comfort of my home office,
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty nice. But this, like, I like the consistency. So of my current employment. So yeah, not too bad. But yeah. Besides that, it's been a good week. Ezra uh came 7 weeks today. So
Yeah.
yep, yep, he's getting big. Like I asked my wife today if since we're talking about MCU stuff, like I remembered the picture of Vision as a baby from WandaVision, and
Yeah.
I sent it to her and was like, "Can we do this for Halloween?" And she was like, "He looks creepy. No, we cannot." I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, that makes me so sad."
Vision through the years
Yep.
progressing as like a little child as well. Yeah. I remember that. That was very scary.
Yes, but my son would make it look cute, and
Mm.
that's not my bias or anything.
Every parent says that.
Yes. Um, but yeah, everything else was good. I'm trying to think.
Anything
Yeah,
else exciting? What are
no,
you doing in downtime?
a
Yeah.
whole lot of sleep.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. All right. So technically, also like my my son had a band concert on Tuesday, and then he got inducted into the Beta Club on Wednesday.
Yes, I did see a post that you had about the Beta Club, but I wasn't sure what that was. So
Yeah. So it's like a good grade something or another.
it's like a National Honor Society, but for
Yeah.
smaller people. Okay.
Yeah. For I think it's for middle school.
Ah, okay.
So you have to have straight A's to be in it, and then be able to pay $25. So
Oh, that's the kicker, is that
yeah,
you also have to be able to pay out of pocket.
yeah. So, but I'm really proud of him. That's awesome. But yeah, besides that, there was no Moon Knight this week. Still didn't catch up with Halo. I will
Me
look
neither.
at that. Well, at least you're only like 2 episodes down.
I think I'm 3 at this point now.
I'm like 7.
No, I have a debate match coming up,
Yeah.
and I've been watching all of the works of directing of Albert Brooks.
Okay.
And I've watched almost all of them. There's one I haven't seen yet, but I watched six of those this week.
Yeah, I guess I watched one trivia match this week.
Oh,
Yep.
which one was it?
You versus Redshaw.
Yikes.
I mean, I didn't get a single question right, so it's better than when I, play along with Schmoedown stuff.
Did
Or
you
it's
like
actually
did you like
worse.
how self-loathing I was by the end? It was I was
But
really saddened by it. I'll tell you what.
so I will say, inadvertently, that match spoiled that he lost to Jake for me because
Oh yeah.
I noticed that you were in the thumbnail and was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna watch this," and then didn't realize all this took place after that. It's
Mhm.
part of their summer tournament, right?
Yeah, this is the summer tournament. This will be whoever wins this will be Jake's next opponent.
Yeah. Also, I totally lied. I also watched I watched Anthony's match against Melissa Woody, and I watched
That was a fun one. Going
and
over.
I watched the 501 Elseworld match that they did, which was so funny. And also, I never realized up until I saw the Facebook comment about it. Apparently, Ruben used to cheat, and I had no idea. So, like, there was a comment about how in that universe, another members of the Riders of Brohan
Yeah.
cheated, and I was just like, I don't understand what that is, but apparently that's
You have to go back through the history of multiplex, and some people have done it. I don't have the will to do it at this point. So
yeah.
that I've heard of, but I don't know the reference as well as I could. I just don't care.
But yeah, so I watched those, and the fact that there's an Elseworld version of Anthony that is the greatest fandom player of all time.
Yep.
I love the idea of that, and also there's a universe where David Garcia is Warzone champion. And I like the idea of that. I just wonder, is Elseworld Anthony a fan of Lord of the Rings? Because
He could be.
I would assume so if he's the fandom world champ.
You might have to dreamwalk into that multiverse and ask him yourself.
Yes, I will get right on that. And I don't want to know what Elseworld Colton is all about. Because, man, I already have to deal with enough with me. I don't want to know what other versions of me.
With you. You don't want to know about the other you and the other you. I understand.
No. I hope I'm like, spoiler alert, I hope I'm like America Chavez, and this is the one universe where I exist. Because the thought of other universes without my children would be just the worst.
I mean, there's probably universes where you don't have children.
That's what I'm saying. Is without I already lived through not having kids and not being married, and I don't want to think of another like Colton out there that has to deal with that. Like, I remember what it was like being single, Colton, and I'm so sorry. But yeah, yeah. So
I guess that leads very nicely into the movie trivia report, which we've already tickered.
Yes, even though I totally forgot to do hashtag Ask a Contender. All right, so
you're doing this now, huh?
Yes.
I'm distracted by hockey, and you're asking me a question.
Yes. So Ask a Contender. This is the hardest question I have ever, like, in my opinion. I could ask it to you, and you'd be like, "Oh, this is obvious. I know this answer," and then I'll feel bad.
It's probably not going to be the case. You're also asking me. It's fun when you ask me this because I'm coming off a week of work and I'm not exactly firing on all cylinders. But go ahead.
Okay, so in X-Men Last Stand and X-Men First Class, there's 6 numbers tattooed to Magneto's left forearm. What are those numbers?
I'm not going to get that.
Like, I saw that recently and was like,
here, I'll give you 6 numbers and you let me know how close I am. Okay. 4, 6, 0, 2, 11.
No, but that's good. Okay. I knew the first 3. I remembered the first 3. And I was like, well, if I remember 3 of them, a normal, like, good trivia player might remember the other 3.
A, I haven't watched those X-Men movies in a minute. B, I only really do that stuff when I'm deep cutting, and I haven't deep cutted those. And C, it's never going to come up.
Yeah, like, I am surprised that's not a 5-pointer in anything I've ever seen before.
I think people would get upset if that was a 5-pointer. Your 5-pointer has to be hard, but it can't be like so impossible that
I guess because it's in 2 movies. That, like, I'd be like, well, they see, like, I even had to go check First Class to make sure it's the same set of numbers, because I was like, with Fox X-Men movies, they were so bad with their continuity, it would not surprise me if in the 40s when he gets the tattoo and the 2000s whenever he has it again, that it's changed, because, man, X-Men continuity is just the worst.
It is.
But yep,
that would be really bad though.
Yes, I agree. 214782.
Okay.
Yep. But yeah, all right. So back to the movie trivia report. Is there anything else interesting going on in the fan leagues? I know we talked about something that just came down the pipeline that TMG is doing. Is they're doing a Geek Teams tournament?
Yep. People are signing up.
Yep, and that's interesting.
But the only sign up post in that really mattered was Joe doing a Revenge of the Sith Wookiee gif, because that just means David and Joe are teaming up. So it's probably unfortunate for everybody else who wants to sign up.
Yes.
For the sake of competing. Although I imagine Tyler and Brittany are probably going to sign up too. Although that hasn't come about yet.
Yeah, like, that's one of those weird leagues where, like, them teaming up means they're going to win the tournament. because there's no one better than them
No,
collectively. Like,
there isn't. There really is not.
yeah, like Brittany could potentially do it by herself if she, but like I'm saying, like she could go at Joe or she could go at David.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah, there's a potential there, but
I mean,
also,
that's gonna happen because
yeah,
she won the Geek for All. I
yes,
really wish I would have won that Geek for All. I'm kicking myself over it. I think about it every so often. And I'm like, dang it, I should have won that.
but
But
yeah,
whatever, it doesn't matter.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on. They
Did
still
we talk
haven't.
about my match with Mark?
We have not.
Okay, so I had the number one contender match in Untitled Geek with Mark Kmeyer because he beat Brittany, and I beat Ryan Payne, and I beat Ryan to get to Mark, and that was a good match for me. That was one of the more dominant ones I've had, especially in a while. But that was cool. I literally watched every Lord of the Rings movie and even the 78 one, which I hadn't seen prior to that, which helped me get that one question in round one, which I was very excited about. And then I watched like half of the Potter movies, like within that short period of time to get ready. And it paid off for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I'm ready. Like again, I want my match to come out. I want to watch it.
I don't think it. Yeah, that stinks when you like.
It has been.
I'm in of a certain tier, right? So I play a bit. So I'm always expecting a match of mine to come out. If it's less frequent, then you're kind of sitting on your heels, having to wait, and it stinks. So
Well, it's so weird because I filmed it like 9 weeks ago.
Yep.
So I'm like, this will come out eventually.
Yeah. Well, they have to get the singles thing out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I'm ready for that as well. Like,
Ready for my title match against David?
yes. I'm also just ready for like. I mean, I know we're never gonna get Full Metal Geek probably.
No,
I want to play
Full
again.
Metal is hilarious now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, I just won a classic last night, so I'm super stoked. But it's really just that and randoms now. There's no formal leagues anymore. They all perished.
Yeah, they had their big, what was it, the snowball or whatever?
They had the snowball.
And then
I was in it twice.
Yes,
Really
you
wish I would have won it. If I'd known this would have happened, I could have been the last champion or whatever. It would have been nice.
Yep, and then Tuhig's still the champion over there, right?
Of course. Yep. No one has gotten an opportunity to take it away from him because that's where we ended.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if that's one of the things where he was like, I'm going to step back from this.
No, he joked about it somewhere recently that he's still the Full Metal Geek champion. I forget what match he talked about it on, but he did.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely something. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and then you mentioned it, but the summer series for multiplex singles is starting. So all roads lead to Jake, as we talked about.
When is their fandom stuff starting?
Which one? Which stuff?
Both their because they have summer tournaments for that as well, right?
They do, but they have to. I think they're slowly getting underway. They're still trying to get. Well, actually, no. They did paint the entirety of the picture of the 5-way for the tournament. So I think there are, because Nick had a posting about it a little bit ago, and I think they have matches scheduled out till the end of May. So you're probably not going to see it till June. Because there's still a teams and a singles picture to complete. Because we just had Duel of the Fates beat Demigod Complex, and they're in a number one contender match. And we had Lights, Camera, and Action play Manhattan Project for the third time, and Manhattan Project won. So I think those two are facing each other for the purpose of facing Wookiee Mistake for the title. And then for singles, we had Albert play Matthew Chen, and then I think the winner of that plays Coho, and then the winner of that plays Joe, if I remember correctly. So tournament stuff's probably not going to be till the real summer time when you're going to start seeing it.
Yeah, that will be when I start watching. Definitely start watching more stuff because
Hmm.
I enjoy fandom a lot more than I do the rest of the stuff because I actually like know things,
Mhm.
but I don't know anything but in Warzone, and that's
As you said when you said that you didn't know anything from it.
which like when I watch Schmoedown stuff, like they throw like streaming questions out there and they throw geek questions out there and they're round ones sometimes. I'm just like, haha, I knew this and I like that. But yeah, it definitely makes me more attentive towards the matches.
Okay. Well, I don't remember if they announced what is happening with regards to a teams tournament. Do you know what? Did we talk about it
Um, and what league?
for fandom teams? Did we
Uh,
talk about what that is going to look like? I forget if Nick and Tim did an announcement about it or not.
are you talking about like the ladder thing?
Yes, I'm talking about the
Yes.
ladder.
Okay. We talked about it probably like 4 weeks ago, but just
Okay.
as a refresher, I
Yeah.
kind of think I know what's going on. Like the first team, two teams play, and then they play another team, and then they play another team, and
And
then
it goes per week.
Yeah.
And I think there's like 7 or 8 rungs of the ladder. And whoever ends up at the end of that will then play the winner of Wookiee and whoever the contender coming out is, which we still don't know.
Yep. But yeah, I'm excited for all of that. Excited to support my friends. Like even though like Anthony lost to Melissa, I was just like, "Whoo, go Anthony!" And
Yeah, that was a fun match. Very evenly matched.
yep, and the same thing. Like we had, I watched your match, and then of course in the Schmoedown this week we had our good buddy Amaru play Saul, and
Yes.
that did not go as well. But
No, because of a issue with scheduling out categorization of movies.
yes, which we talked about that. So
Yes,
here's our updated score. It's 11-15.
Yep.
So tonight we have the Wildberries versus Jay Washington in a handicap match. I watched just enough to find out that if Jay Washington scores in round one, he gets 2 points instead of one.
Mm.
So then I immediately was like, man, if that happened in the Rachel Cushing match against Blofeld's cat
She would have
all
won.
those years ago, she would have won.
Yeah.
So, but I understand like that was like a storyline thing, which is the reason why they did that because like Ken coming out at the end, so she had to lose, which is still like it happens. But yeah, that had to happen. So I watched that, and then of course Kevin Smets versus Saul.
Yes.
So go ahead and make your predictions for the two things.
I don't give a crap about handicaps. I'm going to pick the Wildberries because they were decent in that match against.
Yeah, they
Drew
actually
and-
won against
Yeah.
Rudolph, right?
Trudolph. Yeah. So I'm going to pick the Wildberries.
I'm also
crap.
going to pick the Wildberries
Yeah.
because of the handicap
And
situation.
I don't know how much Jay knows about regular movies.
Yeah, I don't know either, but yeah, I
Hard to-
figure like two brains is going to be better than one in the course of.
Yeah, it'll play out. I mean, it's nice to have two people talking out answers in round two.
Yeah,
In round
especially round two and for the 5-pointer.
Yeah. So I will pick the wild berries, and you will pick the wild berries, and I imagine we're both going to pick the same person for the number one contender match. So
Yeah, I
you're not
also
making up any ground.
no. I mean, I gotta choose Kevin Smets. I mean, I don't want to now because I need to pick up ground, but because we both last week we both picked Zachary Burkett in the Star Wars match, and then there wasn't one this week, or so far there wasn't, and then he lost. So like I gotta pick up ground. So I either have to fall more behind by choosing Saul because Smets better win. I'm just gonna choose Smets. I don't.
I am also choosing Kevin Smets.
Yep.
I'm not doing that thing, everyone, where I'm just coasting off Colton's pick so I can make sure that I win. I legitimately would rather have Smets. I think that's pretty obvious. I think I'm not saying Saul beat Rue by a fluke, but I'm saying that I don't think lightning will strike again for that.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like Rue had that. Like it really stinks. Like the first two rounds were really, really good for him, and it was just that
Well,
three-pointer.
I mean, he did give up some steals in the Marvel
Yeah.
thing. He was really good in round one, and it looked pretty good. And then the Marvel stuff hit and miss, and Saul picked up some steals, and that's how it was able to be sustained. Although, I guess only if Rue scores those points does it might have been tied if he got some of those steal opportunities. I think it would have been like, I don't remember what the final score was, but it would have been like 22-22 maybe.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So yeah, it was interesting. And then of course in the main event of Friday Night Titans, we had Ben Bateman and Jeff versus Peggy Gubbins and the Survivor.
Yes.
And honestly, I thought like the entire time I knew it was going to be someone because I knew like the person that the Jeff character is based on is an actual patron of Ben's, and they were like, yeah, so it's a guy that they call Quiz Show, and he's apparently really good in trivia. And I thought it was going to end up being Jeff Snyder, but
interesting. I was trying to do body shape and trying to do voice recognition. I thought it was like Drew. I thought it was like Video Drew, or then I thought it was somebody. I forget who else I thought it could be, but I didn't think it was going to be the person who it ended up being.
Yeah, I thought it was either going to be Snyder or Tom, because he also like hunched over.
Yeah,
whenever he was in the loony bin and wore a hood, and I was like, oh, this will be good, as his way of like. Apparently, he really did not like being in front of a crowd, so like, that's why he kind of stopped playing. So I was like, oh,
that's sad because he was really good. I liked him.
Yeah. But yeah, like so I thought it was that, and there was no way. Like I thought, like
that was the better reveal. One of the better reveals there've been, and I give a lot of credit to. Should we say who it is now?
Yes.
I give a lot of credit to Dan Murrell for how it is that he affixed his body shape so that it was unlikely to that anybody would ever think it was him if you weren't in the know.
Right. Like it was good. It was really, really good. I immediate like we both talked about last week. It was some way to screw Peggy over.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty telegraphed the whole way through.
Yeah.
They were clearly Ben was clearly being saccharinely nice, which was over the top. So clearly there was going to be a betrayal.
Yeah, and so like Dan turned heel, and we didn't really ever see that. So I kind of like that he's just being like a dickhead, and like even in the first scene of tonight's episode, like they're talking about how like he's now evil and stuff.
Yes.
Well, not exactly like that, but they're like talking about Ben's match with Kalinowski, and he's like, I may hate him more than you do, but you're going to be the one that faces him next, so take him down. If you don't, I'm going to. And I'm just like, oh my lord, they're setting up the potential that Dan could cash in his free-for-all MVP for IG, and I love it.
Yep.
He's not going to beat Kalinowski, I don't think, but
I wouldn't put it past him if he had the time to study it. I wouldn't put it past him.
That's true. If he doesn't do any more singles or teams, I would say he could do it.
Yeah.
Especially like he lives out in Arkansas and there's not a whole lot.
Yeah,
like,
he does his channel and his being a movie critic thing, but that's I don't know what else he has going on. That's where my moniker is from, by the way.
Yes.
From the scene.
Yeah, Kevin Smets is like, you were my hero, man. And he's like, well, you better.
Looks like you're gonna need some new heroes. Yeah. Which is a pretty good line. I liked it. I liked that scene. You know, I thought it was, well, for the most part. I thought the Frankie stuff was like, eh. But that part with Kaiser coming out and then Smets coming out, I thought was good.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I'm excited to see where it goes. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I'm sorry that I'm that we're lockstep with picks so that you don't have an opportunity to catch up.
It'll be okay. I'll be sure to have further opportunities to either probably fall behind, because when we choose separate things, it always goes horrible.
The funny thing is, and I don't mean to pile on, but you're the patron and you know about the stuff more than I do at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, theoretically, okay, you're right. I could have watched the Wild Berries match in secret.
Yes.
And if Jay won, I could be like, oh, I choose Jay Washington. But no one would ever believe that.
Yeah, I would question. I'd be like, huh,
yeah. Because
what made you make that decision?
Yeah, like, because you either know that, oh, someone comes in and teams with him and they win, or oh, he just won by himself, and I can't do that. Also, that's not like an honorable thing to do, and I know
it would totally blow the point of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, like, we're just proving the point that my curse is not as big of a deal this season. Apparently, it was digital. The digital season, me picking was bad. That's the reason why, like, both the people I've picked in the Star Wars matches have lost, because it was digital format. That's what I'm gonna go with. It's digital that's bad, not me.
Okay.
So what I need to do from now on is, when I'm watching your fan league match, I need to choose the other person.
Okay.
Okay. So, because apparently it's digital, not me. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's all we got, really. I mean,
yeah,
Schmoedown stuff will be over in like 15 minutes. So, please, no one out there come spoil it for us, because I will see the
don't do that. I mean, granted, I'm not going to watch it tonight because, like I said, I have a hockey game to watch.
Hopefully I will watch it tonight. Probably, unless I pass out after this, which I might, because I'm an old man.
You're an old man with kids. I get
Yes, I'm an old man with 3 kids, one of which is a newborn, and also I just started working again, and I don't get random naps anymore throughout the day. So last 7 weeks, that has been really nice being off, because I could just, if my son was napping and my wife was napping, I was like, ooh, I can either watch TV or I can take a nap. And taking a nap always took precedence, but not anymore. So that happens. But all right. MCU ranking.
Yep. This is the big deal, everyone. This is what everybody's here for, to see how divergent Colton and I are. We're not talking about divergent, God, no. How divergent we are in our picks, because I imagine they're going to be pretty dissimilar.
Yes. Okay. So rankings number 34 through 30.
Before we do the rankings, can I tell you, because I have my sheet here, which you're not going to be able to see, but I want to say how I did my rankings. Can I go through my process before we go through it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I may do the same thing.
Okay. So, because I really did take a lot of time to think about this. I listed out every movie, but I listed them out in acronyms because I think it looks fun. And then I did my ranking, and then I did numbers 1 through 34. And I went through each one, and I gave everyone that I knew would be near the top a check mark. And then I gave everyone I knew would be near the bottom a minus. And then everything else, which was basically 25 of them, I gave a little tilde sign as like I'm not quite sure. So then I put the minuses at the bottom. Then everything that had a tilde sign on it and meh, then I gave a secondary ranking. Is that the best of the, I don't know. Is it of the or is it bad of the And then I went through all the bad is and I ranked them. I went through all the is and I ranked them. And I went through all the is and I ranked those. And then that left about 8 to 10. And that's where I really struggled to come to the end. But that's how it is that I did my ranking. It was great because I got to say a lot. So
yeah, I went phase by phase.
Nice.
And just rank the phase. And then whenever I went to a new phase, I would just insert that movie into the previous phase where I'd rank it. So, and I worked on it pretty well. And there were some stuff where I'm like, ooh, this is better than this. But it's definitely worse than this. And I maybe refine my list like a lot based on that criteria.
Did you base this most on what was best, or did you? Because mine, I did mostly what I thought was better, but then also like a little bit of favoritism kicked in places.
Mine was 100% favoritism.
Okay.
How I feel about the movie personally.
Because when I got 2 points, when I was like in between two, I then looked at what was objectively a better movie.
Okay, I can understand that. Like there were things that I definitely did that with as well, and of course I added the TV shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I have a couple pretty highly ranked. I will tell you.
Okay, so
hold on. I am getting your list prepared on my sheet so I can see how different it is.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Number 34.
Bet I can guess what it is. Can I guess what I think it is?
Yeah.
Iron Man 3.
It is not.
Ah.
It is not. Okay. Only because there are other movies I don't like more than Iron Man 3. But it's okay. Incredible Hulk is my number 34.
Okay. That's fair. I will say without revealing, or do you want to go back and forth?
Yeah, we'll go back and forth.
Okay. Incredible Hulk's pretty low on my list, I will say. But I had recently watched it when I was getting MCU ready, and I didn't find it as egregious as I remember. Plus, the What If episode helped it a little bit, in my mind.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a really long time. Because up until recently, it wasn't on anything that I had. It's now on Hulu, so I may rewatch it. So I may feel differently, but right now, this is where it's at. Do
you want to take a guess what you think my 34 is?
Thor 2.
It is indeed Thor 2: The Dark World. That was my last one. I rewatched that and I found nothing of enjoyment within it again. So
Loki is the only good part of that movie.
Yeah, I like him turning into different people like Sif and Captain America. He's more humorous in that than he is in any movie leading up to that. I'm not really sure why, because Alan Taylor, who directed it's not really known for comedy. He's like the dude who directed a bunch of Game of Thrones episodes and whatnot. So yeah, I just find really nothing redeeming for the most part in that movie. And between the two movies that I had near the bottom, I definitely hate it more.
Okay. So my number 33 is Thor 2.
Gotcha. Okay. So we're pretty close on that one. Then.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
do you want to take a guess what mine is?
Eternals.
No, I actually have Eternals a little bit higher than you would think. My wife looked over my list and she was like, wow, you had that pretty high. And I was like, I got to give it a little bit of credit. No, my number 33 is Iron Man 2.
Oh, okay.
So I despise Iron Man 2. I had a bad experience with it because it came out. I don't remember if I've told this story, but it came out the last day of my finals. But it wasn't like I didn't have just finals where I took a test. I had finals where I had term papers. So like that Friday, I had to turn things in Saturday morning, and I pulled an all-nighter that night. And I guess it was like Thursday going into Friday maybe. And I took 2 hours off to go with friends to go see Iron Man 2 because I thought I needed the bump of adrenaline from the movie to get the rest of the way through the night. And I was horribly disappointed. I mean,
Yeah.
like, very disappointed by it. So that's always stuck with me. That's why it is my number 33.
Okay. What is your number 32?
Do you want to take a guess?
Let me look over my list.
Okay.
Is it Black Widow?
No, that's actually a little bit higher as well than you would anticipate. My 32 is Captain Marvel.
Ooh, okay.
I never really want to revisit that movie. I find it boring.
Yeah, that's exactly. All right. So my 32.
Hold on. Let me guess.
Okay.
Is this Iron Man 3?
It is not.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hold on. Ant-Man and the Wasp?
No.
Okay. What is it?
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Holy crap. Okay.
I hate that. I am
I
such
forgot.
a fan of the first one and everything else that the Guardians have done that I cannot stand Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It is
Right.
Star-Lord and friends. It's not like they all have.
Oh,
it's more.
I disagree.
It's more like they have
The Rocket Yondu stuff in that I think is really good.
Yeah, but I don't like any of the Drax is such a good character in the first one, and I don't like much of anything that he does, even though he's Batista, and I love wrestlers and movies. I'm just like, I don't. Nope, and I do not like it.
I will tell you, we have almost half a list between where you have Guardians 2 and where I have Guardians 2, which makes me beg the question, Colton, why do you hate fun?
Oh, I do not.
Okay.
Okay, so
you're 31. Is this Iron Man 3 time?
It is Iron Man 3 time.
Okay.
Absolutely, Iron Man 3.
Okay.
Yep.
We know that you famously hate it. You hate the twist. You hate all this.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I will say, it would have been lower if it had not been for Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi brought Iron Man 3 up.
It does. That's one of the only redeeming things about Phase 4 is that they're using it to retcon some stuff or to prop up things that were done badly in previous phases.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
What is your 31st movie?
This is where I have the Incredible Hulk.
Okay. Yeah.
So again, I put it up a little bit higher. Like I said, I rewatched it. It didn't hurt me as it's pretty tight too. I think it's less than 2 hours, if I remember correctly. I like Emil Blonsky. I like William Hurt as Thunderbolt Ross. I like, and hopefully we get some more stuff with him. I do like Samuel Stearns. Tim Blake Nelson. I hope we get more of him at some point in time.
They set up the leader, and then they just don't they have him in a comic book that's a tie-in to the MCU, but other than that, they don't reference him ever again, and I hate it. At least with Abomination and Thunderbolt Ross, they've came back, but
a little bit we got 2 minutes of Abomination, and I don't like the way he looks in comparison to what he looks like in Incredible Hulk, but that's.
I agree. I always hated that look in the comics, but I guess it was more faithful to the comics, so they decided to just do it.
Mm-hmm.
in Shang-Chi again. They're doing all magical things with that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So
You want to do my 30?
Yep, go ahead.
This, I think, will surprise you.
Okay.
I have Thor 1 at 30.
Huh, that's very interesting because I also have Thor 1 at number 30.
Hey, look at that. Synergy.
Yes.
Again, I find that movie horribly boring. I know it's Kenneth Branagh and it's supposed to be a Shakespearean epic in space, but it doesn't feel like it. And none of the characters really have any of their panache like they do in subsequent movies, especially in Thor 3 and subsequent Avengers movies. So I don't like Thor at all. I endured it on my rewatch. I liked it a little bit more, like the scene, where he's going through the Shield. He's going through Shield headquarters or what, the Shield base. And he's beating people up, and he gets to that. That's very emotional. And Hawkeye talking to Coulson and that stuff, which they made fun of in What If, but I don't hold that against them. So, but still, I find Thor 1 not very fun.
Yeah, I tend to agree with all of that. Like, it's not a good movie. Like, it's not ever going to be a movie where I'm like, ooh, unless I'm doing an MCU rewatch, and then I'm ever going to be like, hey, this is on TV? Cool, I'm going to watch Thor. Nope, I will watch something else before I watch Thor.
I'm of the opinion, you got Iron Man in the front, and then you got the Avengers at the back end of Phase 1, and then I'm iffy about the rest, sort of. We'll talk about that as we go through. So let's recap. So my 34 through 30 are Thor: The Dark World, Iron Man 2, Captain Marvel, Incredible Hulk, and Thor.
Yeah, my 34 through 30 is Incredible Hulk, Thor: The Dark World, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Iron Man 3, and then Thor 1.
So we had 3 of 5 in the same in that grouping, which is pretty good. I didn't think we would have 3 of 5 in any of these. So that's good. So
yeah, I know. Like you were saying, you were like how off my list was. I was like, I'm pretty sure the last 5 we're gonna be pretty close on.
Okay.
But
3 to 5, and then another one is pretty close in this case when we get to 29 to 25. So you go ahead since
my number 29 is Iron Man 2.
Okay.
And like there are moments in that movie that I really like. Like I like Tony's alcoholism, which we never really see again.
I wish it was done with more grace, honestly.
And I like all the stuff with the Nick Fury showing like the map of the world and all the Easter eggs for the Avengers and stuff. And I love all that.
That's fair.
And those are a few things like that I do like that they retconned that the little boy is Peter Parker. Like that's cool, I guess. But
Little Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Jon Favreau's kid, which is nice.
Yep. So like I was talking to my best friend the other day, and he likes Iron Man 3 more than Iron Man 2. I cannot stand Iron Man 3. He likes it because of all the suits and all that stuff. And I'm like, in the context of the MCU, I don't like Iron Man 3 because like they really paint a picture with the kid and then he doesn't really go anywhere. And I understand why he doesn't go anywhere because Spider-Man became a thing.
Yeah.
But Iron Man 2.
No, we just got old ass Harley at the funeral and Tony's funeral. And that's it. And everybody was like, who the hell is that?
Yeah, like Iron Man 2, there are some redemptive stuff. Like that's the first real callback to like Black Panther. If you know, like, if you know who the superhero from Africa is, like you know that. And like even though we haven't seen Namor yet, we know he's out there. Supposedly. So yeah, that's my number 29.
My 29 also has to do with someone who's in a suit of armor, because this is where I have Iron Man 3. So I am one of those people who likes Iron Man 3 more than Iron Man 2. And it's not, to me, it's not close. Like, I just think Iron Man 3 is a better made movie. I think Shane Black I like Shane Black movies, and he got to do Shane Black stuff with Iron Man. And he's pretty good working with Robert Downey Jr. It has Christmas in it, as any good Shane Black movie does. He took a couple swings, one of them being that Tony's not in the suit very much. I kind of like that a little bit. But I don't mind the bait and switch as much as some people. I kind of like funny Ben Kingsley. He kind of does it for me. I don't know why. But yeah, it's not a good movie. It's not something I revisited it, and it's a little long in places. But I didn't mind it as much, and it's definitely better than obviously everything I have below it, in my opinion. So Iron Man 3, number 29.
Speaking of being long in places, my number 28 is Eternals.
Okay.
I wish it was like 25 minutes shorter.
It should have really been a TV show.
Yeah. I agree. Like, it has so many cool elements and so many good actors. Like,
you have Rob Stark and Jon Snow fighting for the affections of somebody named Cersei. I mean,
yes. Yes, you sure do, and it's not a good movie. Like I don't even know. Like, I think 30 to 45 minutes of it is a good movie. The rest of it, that's just like, eh.
I do like the fight scene at the end.
Yeah, like
even though it kind of ventures into typical Marvel Act 3 stuff, I don't think it does it that much, and I think there's a little bit more emotion tied to it, and I kind of like that.
Yep, I agree.
I have it a little bit higher than that. Again, we'll go into it when I get to that point, when I talk about where Eternals is. But my number 28 is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay.
I like Ant-Man as a character. I like that we got a female superhero put in the title. I like Michael Douglas. I like Michael Pena. But it pales in comparison to the first one. There's too much stuff going on for this kind of movie. It was too ambitious. You have Ghost, and then you have the FBI, and then you have Sonny Birch, and then you have the going into the quantum realm to get Janet Van Dyne. You have all these things. The main thing that you take away from it is the post credit, because that's a big point leading into how it is that everything gets fixed in Avengers Endgame. Honestly, so it's not nearly as fun to me as the first Ant-Man. I like Ant-Man as a character. I like these characters. I just think it didn't hit to the same degree, and I think it was a little bit meandering.
Yep, I understand that. What is your number 27?
This is so I'm the first one who gets to put in a TV show. This is my first TV show. I have a What If at 27.
Ooh, okay. I have What If a little bit higher than that, but I understand.
Okay. It's most of the episodes didn't really speak to me. I like the Strange one. I like Marvel Zombies, and I like, Ultron Vision, basically. But for the most part, there wasn't a lot that really stuck with me. Some of these Marvel movies stick with me, and I think about them often. I don't think about What If that much, even despite how the most recent Marvel movie, Multiverse of Madness, you have to have a bit of What If knowledge to kind of get the full extent of what's going on. But it was a nice attempt. I hope if they, when season 2 comes around, they have a little bit more compelling storylines. So I'm the first one to have a TV show with What If at 27.
Okay. My number 27 is Avengers Age of Ultron.
Oh, okay.
It is my least favorite Avengers movie.
It is for me, but I give Avengers movies just a little bit of leg up.
I'm not a fan. Like,
Okay.
there are some cool moments, like Vision lifting the hammer,
Yep.
and then the hint that Cap can do it. But like the fact that the one of the highlights of Iron Man 3 is Tony blowing up the armor, and then it's just immediately he has the suits back. And it takes Civil War being like, oh, I can never give it up. And it drove Pepper away. And I'm just like, yeah, but you're not, I don't know.
I mean, much like I was talking about with Ant-Man and the Wasp, there's a lot going on
Yeah.
in Age of Ultron because they tried to have to set up basically everything in Phase 3.
Yeah, they set up Infinity War, Ragnarok,
Black
Civil
Panther,
War,
Black Panther.
Panther. Like it's four setup movies in one, which like a lot of people complain about.
Oh, it also sets up Hawkeye as well, if you think
Yeah.
about it.
But yeah, like
I guess that also sets up WandaVision
yeah,
as well, too. So it set up a lot of things in Phase 3 and 4.
yep. It's a big old mess of a movie.
Very ambitious. Too ambitious.
Yes. So my number 26
Yes.
is Captain Marvel.
Okay.
For the exact same reasons, like you said earlier. Like there are some cool moments. Like I like that this was Coulson's return to the MCU.
Okay.
I like young Nick Fury. I hate how he gets the scratch on his eye.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
Because if you go back to Winter Soldier, he's like, I trusted someone, I lost an eye. And I'm like, you trusted the Falcon?
Yeah.
That's dumb. That's dumb in retrospect, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I like that that's the reason why, like, hey, she's been around all this time, but hey, it's only for emergencies. Which granted,
God knows a Chitauri invasion from space.
yeah, which apparently with Endgame, she can get there within like lickety split. So she could have totally came for Ultron or Avengers 1, but she was just chilling out there.
Yep.
Apparently, a nuke blowing up the city and aliens invading, that's not important, but Thanos dusting everybody or half of everybody, that's important. But hey, it's whatever. What is your number 26?
Another TV show I have. This is where I have Hawkeye.
Okay.
I liked a bit of Hawkeye, but the CGI in it's bad. It's street level stuff, but sometimes it feels too street level. I don't like how they had to sacrifice things to set up the Echo show, which I don't really care about. Seeing Wilson Fisk is cool, but it's only so cool. I don't like that last episode. I don't think it stuck the landing as it should have with the lead up for the reveal of which the reveal wasn't, if you read comics or if you sort of read the tea leaves, I mean, it was kind of all telegraphed. So I like it a little bit better than What If, but it's still low on the TV shows. And in this case, it's low for me in rankings at 26.
Okay. What's your number 25?
This is where I have Black Widow. Black Widow is very mediocre. I know I have it in the lower end, but it's pretty mediocre. There's some ridiculous stuff with it that make no sense. Obviously, it was hurt by the fact that it wasn't released when it should have been. It had all the controversy of the Scarlett Johansson stuff. I don't even know what impact that movie. I mean, I guess it helped set up Hawkeye a little bit, but that was really it. Honestly, it really has no impact otherwise.
Yeah, and you do meet Julianne Dreyfus's character.
Yeah, Julie Louis-Dreyfus. Yeah.
Yeah. Which
we had already met in Falcon and Winter Soldier. So
yeah, which granted we were supposed to meet her in this before we met her in that. Yeah. But horrible times that we'd be living in. That was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, COVID did sort of affect this a bit, but it's fine. It's a fine movie. But I've revisited it recently. I really don't want to go back and revisit it again.
Yeah, my number 25 is Captain America: The First Avenger.
Wow, I thought you would have this a little higher.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where like I understand he probably has the best trilogy, but it's because he
Yeah.
definitely does. But it's because his later two are so phenomenal, and I don't like honestly, if it wasn't for Hugo Weaving as Red Skull, I would probably never watch it again.
Mm.
Like even
I like Toby Jones as Zola.
yeah,
I like Sebastian Stan in this before he becomes what he becomes. I love Tucci Man. I'm mad Tucci Man has to die. So there's a lot of redeeming stuff in it. We got introduced to Haley Atwell.
yes.
We have Marjorie Tyrell from Game of Thrones. She's the one who makes Peggy jealous. You know, we have Star-Lord's mom is in the movie. Did you know that?
As someone else, right?
Yeah, she's like a woman who asked for an autograph. But I got to ask the question, who was the only MCU actress who played multiple characters? And I was like, I think you want Hema Chan, but I was thinking Laura Haddock as well, because technically she's two different characters, even though that person doesn't have a name.
But yeah, so that's my number 25.
All right, so let's recap. So my 29 through 25 are Iron Man 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp, What If, Hawkeye, and Black Widow.
Yep, and my 29 through 25 is Iron Man 2, Eternals, Avengers 2, Captain Marvel, and Captain America: The First Avenger.
Hey Colton, how many did we have the same in that?
I don't think we
big
had
fat zero.
Yeah, big fat zero.
Yep. There we go. That's what I was anticipating.
Yep.
Do you want to start this 24
yeah.
or do you want me to go? Okay.
So 24. My number 24 is Black Widow.
Okay, so we're not that far off.
Yeah, it was not that far off at all. Like it's not good. It's like for the same reason, like it should have been made 5 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That would have.
It would have made much more sense. Canonically.
Yes.
Flow wise with the other movies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. It should have been there between Captain America Civil War and Doctor Strange, probably.
Yep. But yeah, like it's just
maybe a little after
that. Yeah, it's not good. So I just I can't.
I already talked a lot about it. You don't have to talk anymore about it. It's fine.
Yep.
So my 24, this is where I have Eternals.
Okay.
And the reason I have Eternals here above these other things is because I give it credit for being beautifully shot, for taking chances, and because it's, directed by an Oscar-winning director. Like, I give it credit for trying things, even though the things they tried were sort of boring and long-winded. We did get set up for, we did get more into the idea of what am I thinking of? Celestials. We did get a little bit more into Celestials, which I like. I do like the power sets. I do like the characterization of some of these. I mean, the reveal in that movie, not really that much of a reveal. Sort of seemed like it was heading in that direction. But, we did get introduced a little bit to Blade, and I give it a little bit of credit for that. So I have it a little bit higher. My wife was surprised how high I had it, but I was like, in this case, amongst what I have below it, I give it credit for taking some risks.
Yep. Okay, so what do you have for your number 23?
I'm getting the TV shows out of the way. This is where I have Loki.
Okay. Loki is quite a bit higher for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I liked it, and I liked the last episode, but again, I don't really think it stuck the landing the way I wanted it to. I think it plays around with continuity stuff and things that were sort of entertained in Endgame that really didn't coincide with how it is the rules that Loki set, and then what we know from Loki to the rules that are kind of being set in Multiverse of Madness. So it's kind of that thing that's in between there that I'm not really sure how it fits.
Yeah,
But and it's kind of betrays the Loki character a little bit too. So I don't like those things, which is why I have it at 23.
yeah, it's one of those weird things where it's the only show that's right now that's getting a second season. So we don't really know where it's going, where all the other shows we kind of, I mean, What If is also getting a second season, but we have, like, that could be anything. Like,
Mhm.
the Captain Carter thing is gonna, like, she's gonna find Steve in the Hydra Smasher
Yeah.
outfit or armor, but besides that, like, we don't really know anything else from the show.
No.
So, but yeah,
So what do you have at 23?
at 23, I have What If, which is
Okay.
kind of the reason why I coincide. Like, I like all the Star-Lord episodes are
Oh yeah, I
the-
forgot about the Star-Lord episode. I do like
yeah,
it.
but I don't know if that's because I know Chadwick's gone.
Yeah.
This is the reason why I like them, or I love the Captain Carter episode. Like,
I like it, but I think it's a little meh.
yeah, but yeah, other than that, like those few things, like I don't. The show was good. I liked watching it week by week, but it's one of those things where I will probably never. I'll probably never watch it again, and I don't. I don't like that about my MCU stuff. If I just say, hey, I'm not going to watch that again, then like it might be better quality than some of the things that are below it for me. Like I will watch Captain America: The First Avenger again, but I like this more.
You also don't have to invest as much time in
Yeah.
Captain America: First Avenger, I don't think, or maybe it evens out, but still, that's one complete story, and then when you have like 6 or 7 stories, so I get it. That's your first TV show.
Yep.
I've done 3 TV shows already, and you've done 1.
Yep.
So go to your 22 then.
My number 22 is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay.
For essentially all the same reasons why you said it. Like, yeah, they have Goliath in there, and that's cool. And
21 feet.
yep. And yeah, that was a question in some trivia thing recently.
It was in Rue's match.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so besides like that, like I love Paul Rudd. He can do no wrong. Apparently he can also never age.
No,
but
he's been the same since 1995 in Clueless, which is insane.
Yeah, I was trying to think. The first thing I've ever seen him in was probably Friends back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But it was absolutely Clueless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did a couple like commercials, and he did some other movies and stuff, a couple before Clueless, but that's the big one.
Yeah, and then I remember him being in like 40-Year-Old Virgin, and that was good.
He was pudgy then.
Yep.
Now he's not quite so because he's a superhero.
But yeah, so like, and yeah, like you said, the end credit scene is good, but like even that, like he's going in there to get the power for Ghost, and then he gets stuck there. We have no idea if she got snapped away, because if not, man, she had to go 5 years waiting on him to get that for her, and then whenever he comes out, he doesn't even like deal with that.
Kept those the quantum particles or whatever for her, just in case. We're probably not going to get any more Ghost. That's probably one and done. That's what I mean. Like most of the stuff in that movie is one and done, except for quantum realm stuff. That's basically it.
Yeah, like I wonder if get her in Quantumania?
I don't think so. I think they're gonna want to focus on Quantum Realm stuff and Kang.
And
So
I also think in the context of that movie, like, it's so weird that, like, Shield used her to, like, because of her powers.
mhm.
Like, the more and more the MCU develops, the more and more we realize, like, powered people were around. So, like, Iron Man is less special. Captain America is less special when
Yeah,
there's other powered people during that era.
they
And
really are. I was thinking about this because people were doing reviews of Multiverse of Madness. They were like, we had way more stories of people whose power sets aren't nearly as interesting as Doctor Strange and Wanda, but we like the people who played those characters so much and they played them well that we want to see them. That's why.
like, we get to the point like Captain America, he was such a big hero that they tried to do it again with Bruce Banner, but they already had Ant-Man or like as they already had the original Ant-Man, Michael Douglas, and then they had this ghost chick. Like, so why in the world would you experiment with something that might not happen if you already have super powered individuals? It just I don't understand, but it's whatever. And yeah, so that's my number. What was it? 23,
22.
22?
22.
Yeah, that was my number 22.
Guess what? Guess what? I
Uh,
have another TV show at 22.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier is my 22. It gets boring at times. The villains aren't nearly as compelling. Well, I mean, the main villain of that is racism, probably, but the corporeal villains in that are not very interesting. We're probably not going to see them again. We got a reference to the what were the refugee camps or whatever, the organization that's trying to help refugees in Moon Knight. I forget what it's
Yeah,
called.
yeah, the GRC.
Yeah, the GRC. But other than that, the main purpose of this is to extend out that Sam Wilson is now Captain America, and we're going to get a Captain America 4. Hopefully his outfit is a little bit more toned down, as we talked about. I liked it more than most people liked it amongst the shows. I like the dynamic between Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. I think that plays very well. I like seeing Bucky on his own, without Steve to play off of, just to see what that's like, because I like Sebastian Stan. Zemo
Yep.
is Zemo versus Harrow, I guess, are kind of like the best villains in the TV shows at this point.
Yeah.
Depending on how you feel about Wanda or Agatha as villains in WandaVision, but I think they were the most compelling. So that's why I have Falcon and Winter Soldier at 22.
Okay. So what's your number 21?
This is where I have Avengers Age of Ultron.
Okay.
Again, it is the worst Avengers movie by far. It is too ambitious, but you got to give it credit for trying to be ambitious and for trying to set up all these things, which they did do technically. Even if it wasn't well, they still did it. And there are cool sequences in that. The Wanda mind fucking the people is really cool, and that's where you get. I like Idris Elba without eyes. I like Heimdall without eyes. I think that's cool. I like I like the Iron Man Hulk fight in Johannesburg. That's cool. I love Vision. The third act gets a bit muddled in Sokovia and all those things, but there's cool stuff there. So that's my 21.
Okay. My 21 was the Hawkeye show.
Okay.
Kind of like I love all the Hawkeye and Kate Bishop stuff.
Mm.
I love that. I do not like any of the Echo stuff. I do like that it led to Wilson Fisk.
Mm.
But and yeah, you're right. The twist ending of Laura is Mockingbird. Oh my lord. Like I knew that immediately.
Well, that part, but I was actually just more talking about that, Kate's mom was the bad guy.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was pretty obvious.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I know a bunch of people got mad because this kind of like this overrid more of Agents of Shield. But I'm just like, it's fine. Like it happens. Am I happy about it? Not necessarily. But people are going to Google her character and be like, oh, she's in this TV show.
Yes.
And now it's on Disney Plus. So that can only be good. The same thing, like the Darkhold. People are going to Google that and see that it's an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it can only be good things. Like, yeah, like that's my opinion on all of that. But my number 20
Yes.
is Doctor Strange.
You know what?
What?
That's also my number 20.
Ooh, look at that.
Yep. I was worried that this was going to be super not the same, but yeah, we're right on the button. You go ahead. You talk about Doctor.
Yeah. I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
I like the movie. Like, we're getting to the point where I don't think any of the things above this I don't like.
Mm. This
But
is where you start being a little bit more discerning. This is like where I'm in my things are iffier compared to the bigger stuff, but I like these things.
yeah, and it's one of these things where I've never done hardcore drugs before, but this is the movie where I'm like, if I did, I would really enjoy this movie, I think.
Absolutely.
Because you'd either trip balls or have a heart attack, according to what drugs you're on.
Yeah.
Like, it would, like, it's so aesthetically pleasing.
It really is. Scott
And-
Derrickson does a good job. And it has a little bit of horror stuff in it, like with how the people, the Caecilius's followers die when Strange kills them in like the hospital. Or I do like the ghost scene that he has with the Ancient One. And the third act is great because it's a third act that subverts what a normal third act is.
Yeah, and I even like the scene where when he gets the Carmitage the first time, he immediately assumes the Ancient One is an old Asian man.
Yes.
And no, it's Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people were super mad when she got cast.
Yeah.
But I love her as the Ancient One.
She's good in anything she does. It's just you would have if the Ancient One wasn't in the comics a Chinese person and she wasn't subsuming that identity, if she was anybody else but just as that character, it would have been totally fine. But she's always great.
Yep, I agree.
All right, so recapping my 24 through 20: Eternals, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Doctor Strange.
Let's see. My 24 through 20 is Black Widow, What If, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Hawkeye, and Doctor Strange.
So we had one correct, but right on the button. One the same. Sorry, correct. One right on the button. You've gotten rid of 2 TV shows. I've gotten rid of 4 at this point. So very interesting how it is that this is going to wrap up. So now we're going to go through. We're in the top 20 now.
Yep, 19 through 15.
Yep. You want to go ahead and start?
Yes, my number 19 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah,
I will tell you that I have it considerably higher.
Yeah, like I love that movie, but I just again, we're getting to the point where I like every single thing now that is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard because I'd be like, on any good day, if someone was like, "Hey, you want to watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1?" I wouldn't ever say no.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, "Ooh, yeah." But it's the same way with most of this stuff. Like, of course, I do have 3 TV shows above this, so that's probably things that I would say no to because of the time commitment.
Mm.
But all the rest of these movies that are above it, I'd be like, yes, I will watch that. But this is the one where I think it's the least good out of the things that are coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't agree, but I understand your logic. My number 19 is Spider-Man: Far From Home. It is
Okay.
It is the worst of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Not by far, but it's the low coming off the high of Endgame. So it has that going against it. Jake Gyllenhaal, great as Mysterio. we get introduced to Skrulls, so Secret Wars is coming, all these types of things. But of these things that I have, it's not one that I necessarily like to go back and revisit. I've done it, and it's fine. But this is where we start getting into upper tier stuff and stuff I would rather watch. And it's, like I said, the worst of the Spider-Man movies. So that's where it ends up at 19.
Okay. What is your number 18?
This is where I have Captain America: First Avenger.
Ooh, okay.
I just rewatched it. It's endearing. Like you said, it's the best trilogy of any Marvel hero so far. Spider-Man's probably up there too, though.
I was gonna say it. I actually probably think it is Spider-Man.
It might be Spider-Man, but it's close. And Captain America's in one of the Spider-Man movies, so got that going for it. But yeah, it's the other two are head and shoulders above it. The villain's good. I think it's the best villain in Phase 1. Him or Loki. But Loki is acting on behalf of a larger, better villain as a villain, so that works against him. But yeah, it's a little bit slow in parts. You're waiting for him just to get the serum and the Vita Rays so we can get going. But all the supporting cast is great. There's nothing much more to say than what you said, but that's my 18.
Okay. Yeah, my number 18 is Ant-Man.
Okay.
I love the first Ant-Man.
What's not to love?
Yep. All the main cast is good. Michael Pena is hilarious.
He's wonderful.
Yeah.
Such a delight.
Even the villain, he's kind of like a miniature Obadiah Stane, but I love it.
I love Corey Stoll, so
yeah, I love that.
I kind of wish he wasn't as villainous so that he would had another opportunity, but he could be in Quantumania. We don't know.
Yeah, I love it shows the 10 rings and Hydra still doing stuff. This is one of the first hints that the 10 rings is actually regular people and not idiotic.
This is also the first opportunity where the de-aging makeup is starting to get better.
Yep.
So that's good. I know a lot of people think it's off, but it's getting better at this point in 2015.
Yep. Okay, so my number 17 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Okay.
I also this movie redeemed Iron Man 3. It made it where it was not number 2 from the bottom. It's really good. The last act is kind of it's weird, but
yeah,
other than that,
it's typical Marvel stuff, and it's done, and the CGI is so in your face. There's just a lot going on with it,
and I don't know. I'm excited to see a sequel. It's going to be good. Simu Liu is a good actor. I'm curious.
I know a lot of people think he's kind of one of the worst parts of that movie, which is interesting. I mean, he's not the best part of the movie because you have Tony Leung as the villain is amazing.
Yeah.
But no, still good for the role, and I have it just a little bit higher than you, but we're getting there.
What is your number 17?
This is where I have Guardians 2.
Okay.
The reason I told you we have it about half a list away from each other. Guardians 2, I know a lot of people don't like it. There's a lot in it and a lot of jokes, but it's such a fun movie. The soundtrack is amazing. I like the Yondu stuff. I like the Rocket and Yondu stuff, the Yondu and Quill stuff. I like the Nebula Gamora stuff. I like the sequences. I like the Yondu killing the entire Ravager sect sequence is delightful. Rocket on Bearheart getting one up on all the Ravagers is neat. The last fight's a little meh, but it also has Kurt Russell as the villain, which is neat. So it's just a fun movie. It pales in comparison to the first one, but I think it's a worthy sequel, and I'm excited for what's going to be our final send-off of Guardians as we know them in Guardians 3, as everybody keeps talking about.
Yeah, I'm not excited about that. Like,
why?
We because I don't want them to go away.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant you weren't excited for the prospect of the movie. I was like, you don't want a Guardians 3?
Yeah, I absolutely am. But like, I don't want them to go away. Like, Batista has already said this is going to be his last one.
I mean, he's like in his mid-50s, man.
Yeah, he's 55, so I understand. Like,
can't keep taking his shirt off. You know?
Yep,
or he doesn't want to. Sorry, he could. He's in great shape.
But yeah, like, so there are definitely things like that that hurt because I like the first one so much. Even though the second one I don't think is as good, I want, like, ideally, like, I could watch them in tons of movies. Like, if they were just like, hey, Colton, what group would you want to make? We make like 10 movies with. I'd be like the Guardians because it would be so good. Like, I would eventually get tired of seeing the Avengers or the Captain America ensemble or whatever, but I don't think I'd ever get tired of watching the Guardians. But okay, so what number was that? 17?
Yep. So my 16 is Ant-Man.
Okay.
So I have it considerably higher than Ant-Man the Wasp, for all the reasons that you said. It's delightful. All the cast is good. It's a nice contained story. It's nice coming off, much like I talked about Far From Home is a bit of a come down from Endgame. I don't feel this is that much of a come down from Age of Ultron. In fact, I think it is better than it. So, which is why I have it ranked that way. So Ant-Man, number 16.
All right. My number 16 is Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Okay.
And I will say, like, I really like the show. There are definitely parts of it where I'm just like, yes, I understand you're painting him as the new Captain America. But I kind of wish that the show didn't end with Bucky still being known as the Winter Soldier. Like, the entire arc of the show is
how he's not the Winter Soldier anymore. He's Bucky.
Yeah. And then the last end credit thing, it switches to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I'm like, no, he should be the White Wolf or anything else. But besides that little thing, like, I like the show a lot. Yeah, like, it's good. My number 15 is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Hey, guess what?
What?
Also my number 15.
Woohoo!
So apparently we're right on the buttons with Doctor Strange stuff.
Yes. Yeah, like, I really liked it. And it's one of those things where normally I have recency bias. So I normally, like, I see something, I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, I think it's great, but it's still not in my top 15. Or I guess it is number 15. But
I need to watch it more, get used to it. It's a better movie in the phase of... Oh, I mean, it's in the middle of the Phase 4 movies probably at this point. But it's a fun movie as well. And it's more fun than the first Doctor Strange. It's got some cool things going on. We have Wanda as a full villain, which some people hate, some people like. More Elizabeth Olsen is not a bad thing. We got introduced to some things, some people. We talked about that last week. Some were ignominious ends. Some were probably just little aperitifs before we get to see them more, their variants moving forward. But yeah, I think this is a nice spot for it.
Yep, I agree. All right, so 14 through 10.
Oh, so to recap, my 19 through 14 were Spider-Man Far From Home, Captain America First Avenger, Guardians 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Okay, and mine were Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 1, Ant-Man, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
So we had two. So we had two in there, and again, Doctor Strange 2, right on the same level. So
Yep.
Not too far away.
Yep. So your number 14.
This is where I have Shang-Chi. It's a beautiful movie. Nice for representation. Nice to fix some of the things perpetrated by Iron Man 3. But the last act is so in your face and such a CGI mess. If they had done it and had been a little bit more grounded, I think it even could have been higher. But I think in the top 15, that's where it should live, in my opinion.
All right, so my number 14 is Avengers.
Whoa, okay.
And like it's one of those movies that, like I said, like I'll put it on. I'll put it on all the time and watch. But I think we're getting to the point where in this list where I am watching things more because not because someone asks, because I go out of my way to be like, yeah, I'll watch that. Instead of someone else asking the question and me saying yes, everything above this is me being like, I want to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
And Avengers is right there, like on the cusp of, yeah, I'll watch that, maybe, like if I feel like it. But if someone asks me if I feel like it, the answer is always going to be yes. But I may not take the initiative to do it myself. The initiative. You see what I did there?
Yes.
All right. There we go. All right. My number 13 is the Loki show.
Whoa. You did have that high. Okay.
I really like the Loki show. Like there are some things that I don't like about it, like the fact that he's such a changed person just from watching that video. Like he literally killed Phil Coulson the day before that. So like that's a really fast redemption.
He killed a lot of people in New York too.
Yep. But like in the context of I know there was a book wrote that during the course of the Avengers, he is actually under the control of the Mind Stone by whatever Thanos' little henchman is.
The other?
Yeah, the other. At that point, so like I understand once he comes off that high that he might be like, oh, and then he sees what he's going to become potentially, and that might change his perspective. But I love Jonathan Majors as Kang. Like he's so good. He's so good.
He's really good. It's such a nice little appetizer before we get to him as the main villain in Quantumania, which is really kind of the selling point of Quantumania.
Honestly, I think he's going to be better in Loki than he was in Quantumania. Because, I mean, he's going to be in the second season because we see statues of him in the refined TVA. So I think he's going to be actually better than he will be in Quantumania. Because I think Quantumania will get the brooding, purple wearing suit version of him. And so I don't think he'll be as intricate. He'll be a straight up villain, whereas in the Loki show he's kind of like morally ambiguous, and those are like the best villains when you kind of understand what they're going for there, versus the mustache twirling, haha, I have to do evil things for 2 hours so the hero can defeat me, and that's how I feel like he'll be.
I assume he'll have motivations that aren't just strictly I need to be evil. And I hope that they will make him a better villain than that. Even though the villains in the Ant-Man movies have been on the lesser side, I would hope that they would take that a little bit more seriously.
Yep, I agree. But Yeah, so that's my number 13 is
So we had What If and Hawkeye ranked in the shows the same, but you had Loki above Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I had Falcon and Winter Soldier slightly above Loki.
correct.
Okay. My number 13 is Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it's nice and grounded. You wish it was more Peter Parker centric. There's a lot of Iron Man in it. Not like having Robert Downey Jr. There's a bad thing. Just you wish it was a little bit more focused since it's the first MCU related Spider-Man movie. I know people call him Little Iron Man or whatever the hell, Iron Man Jr. But still, it's a good movie. I like the setup of it from Civil War. I like Michael Keaton's a great villain. He's a top 5 MCU villain, probably. All that stuff. The reveal of him being his girlfriend's dad. The Shocker. I hope we get more of the Shocker. We get the introduction to Scorpion, played by Michael Mando, great actor from Better Call Saul. All these things play into its favor. It's just I have 12 other things, 13 other things that I think give me a little bit more. This isn't something I necessarily go to look to rewatch, but if it's on, I will watch it because it's a good time.
Okay. So what is your number 12?
12 is where I have WandaVision.
Wow. Okay.
Uh-oh. I know what that means. You have it pretty high, I bet.
That's really surprising.
Okay. I mean, I give it a lot of credit. It does a lot of things emotionally. We get a lot of good lines. We get a pretty good villain in Agatha Harkness. They really screwed it up to me with the last episode, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have had it higher. Would have had it the best of the TV shows, even. But I just think they screwed that so much, and it makes me so sad. But a lot of good things. I like the layout of WandaVision as it goes through the different periods of television playing out. I like how the little bits of breaking that we get before we get the. I also don't like when they officially break through. I like the little pieces of it. I like when Wanda and Vision are about to go head to head. I like the idea of bringing in Evan Peters as Quicksilver, but then we learn he's not Quicksilver, so that's a fucking bummer. So that's why I have it at 12.
Okay. My number 12 is Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Okay.
Like what you said is like I agree that it is the worst of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, but I still think in all of the Spider-Man movies, it's in the top 5.
Okay.
And this is the part where like I'm like Tom Holland's the best Spider-Man. Like his 3 are
superior to Tobey's 3 overall and Garfield's 2 for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like eventually on the show, if we miss out on stuff, I want to talk about the Spider-Man movies. But
I don't think I don't have Spider-Man Far From Home as a top 5 Spider-Man movie. Overall.
Yeah, so yeah, like Far From Home. Good spot. Like I like all the stuff with I do think it's kind of weird now that there was a projection version of Sandman, but now we've seen the real version of Sandman, so that's a little weird, but it's whatever. Like it's good. It's
in retrospect, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit strange.
Yep. All right. What number was that?
That was 12. We're on 11. We're really moving up. We're close to the top 10.
Yeah. My number 11 is Moon Knight.
My number 11 is also Moon Knight.
Ah, hey, look at that.
I'm done with all my shows. But yeah, I give it a slight nod over WandaVision personally because the last episode, while it isn't great, it did what it needed to do better. It set up for the future, even though we don't have a season 2 lined up. But the future for Moon Knight is more interesting, especially because now we know the future for Wanda since Multiverse of Madness came out, and it's a little like this because we don't know where she's going from that. And that movie, while it was cool what she did, it didn't really. It really took a left turn from where she was. But Moon Knight, that 5th episode, really speaks to me. I guess there's a little recency bias in that, but I think it's the best show, mostly because of Oscar Isaac. I think was the best actor who's been in one of these so far, and he really carries it. Ethan Hawke is a nice foil. I like F. Murray Abraham as the voice of Khonshu. All those things.
Yep, I agree with everything that you just said. Like, I kind of hate that there won't be a second season, but I agree. Like, he's going to be in other stuff, but I kind of wish there was a second season.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of.
Even if it was like a British version where it was like 3 episodes or something, I'd take it.
Yeah. Like, Sherlock style, make them like hour and a half episodes.
Yeah, I would take that if they did that. That'd be cool.
But yeah, my number 10 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Okay.
I like, we're getting to the point where I'm like, yes, this is a hard, like, the top 10 are hard to choose from.
For me, it was top 8. It was really, really hard. I mean, like, splitting hairs hard.
Yeah, like, I knew what my top 1 was almost immediately. So really, 2 through 10 were really tough. Like, really, really tough. And I argued with this one to go higher. It was never going to be lower than 10.
Good. I'm glad you said that at least.
It was never going to be lower than 10, so I just put it at 10. Because there are days where it is a better movie than some of the ones I have above it. But I don't like it as much as some of the ones that are above it.
Okay.
So that's where I came in at.
Okay. I have a Captain America movie at number 10, but it's Civil War. And I have Civil War here because, again, we're splitting hairs. I'm thinking about, at this point, movies that are better made. And Civil War has cool stuff in it, for sure. Has some of the best cool stuff in it. But as a movie and a plot device for the villain, which is Zemo, it's all over the place. And you have to take a lot of liberties with how it is that we get to the point where the real breakage between Iron Man and Captain America get to. A lot of things have to go a certain way for Zemo's plan to work, and they all line up perfectly. You could say that means he's a master genius, but it's a little convoluted. Otherwise, it's really cool to see the vestiges from Age of Ultron rear its head here. I do like that beginning sequence with Crossbones. I do. The bookends of Civil War are great. The Crossbones stuff in Nigeria and the fight that we get between Bucky, Cap, and Iron Man at the very end is awesome. And then you have the airport stuff. You got the Black Panther showing up. You got Spider-Man showing up. All that stuff is really cool. But as a movie, cohesive movie, there are movies here that I think are better cohesively, or at least speak to me more than Civil War.
Yep. All right. So 14 through 10 for me was Avengers, Loki, Spider-Man Far From Home, Moon Knight, and then Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
And mine were Shang-Chi, Spider-Man Homecoming, WandaVision, Moon Knight, and Captain America Civil War. So we had one the same, but right at the same level at 11.
Yep. All right. So
now 9 to 4 or 9 to 5?
9 to 5, and then we'll do the top 4.
Okay. I'll start. My number 9 is the Avengers. It's you got to give it a lot of credit for being the first of these to bring everybody together and to do it in such a way that it's not so dissonant that it really takes you out of it. It really works together, honestly, to make it work as well as it does. And Joss Whedon stuff, how it is they interact with each other, the power sets, the first introduction of Mark Ruffalo is Bruce Banner and how he comes in. The fight in New York is not ridiculous. The stuff with Tony when you think he's going to die. The stuff that he has with that Nick Fury has with the Council, and how it is they brought the Avengers together. How everybody's trying to manipulate one another when you got this Mind Stone that's manipulating everybody too. It's a very enjoyable movie. Sometimes it pales in comparison to Avengers movies and team ups down the road, but you got to give it credit for being the first, and that's what I'm doing here by putting it at number 9.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's great. Like I said, it's one of those movies where anyone tells me, "Hey, go watch Avengers," I'll be like, "Yes, absolutely." And my number 9 is also an Avengers movie, but mine is Avengers Infinity War.
Oh my, okay. All right. Let's see what we're doing here.
And like, it's
Again, Colton, why do you hate fun?
It's not that I hate fun.
Okay.
It's just all the other movies above this, I think, are more fun.
Okay.
Like, I will say, this is one of the weirdest movies because the main character of the movie is the villain.
That's why in my mind it gets a lot of credit because it did that turn and did it so beautifully too that we cared about him.
Yep. It's masterful and it's amazing, and there's so much.
What's your favorite part of Infinity War?
I mean, probably Thor coming to Wakanda.
Okay.
But
my favorite's the fight on Titan. Because you don't have all the Avengers, but I like how it is that they bring their powers together, and the Doctor Strange stuff. It's the best Doctor Strange fighting stuff by far.
Yeah, and it's so weird because of how, like, we've now seen, like, I don't know if he just got more, like, if the title of Sorcerer Supreme also grants you more power, because
he had 2 years. He had 2 years.
I know, I'm just saying, like, we haven't seen him do anything like that.
Well, sorry, we had a year because he was in Ragnarok, but you know what I mean.
But yeah, like,
by Ragnarok, he was doing cool stuff too. So
yeah, but I'm saying, like, since then we haven't really seen him do anything cool like that. Like, the battle on Titan is so good.
Oh, you're saying since then, since he lost the title of Sorcerer Supreme, it hasn't been as
he hasn't been as
powerful.
Yeah,
he might not be.
So I don't know if that title comes with like additional powers. So I don't know how that works because he's not been nearly as powerful since Infinity War. Yeah. But and then of course, like, the saddest scene is Peter realizing that he's gonna get killed.
Yeah.
And Mr. Stark.
I don't feel so good.
Even though I know it ends great in the end,
yes,
it still makes me cry. Because poor kid, like, he already lost his parents, his uncle, and now he's losing his essentially his adopted father, or his, like, he's being lost, and Tony can't do anything about it, and he knows that Tony can't do anything about it, and he knows he's dying, and no one else knows they're dying. Like, it's so sad. And I do think it's weird, like, how the original 6 survive. I mean, I understand, like, they won't, in game to have the original 6 in it, but
I mean, Rocket survived.
That's true.
Captain Marvel survived. Ant-Man survived.
Yeah, that's because of an entire thing, and
but he did though.
Yeah.
So. Nebula survived.
Yes, like, all the things that happen in this movie, like, I think pay off better in Endgame, which is the reason why, like, I rank Endgame higher than this.
Of course. Endgame has more emotional stakes and it pays off emotionally better. So I have it higher as well, obviously. So what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
I really enjoy Thor Ragnarok. Like, it's probably the funniest MCU movie.
By far, I think by far it's the funniest.
Yeah.
And I bet it's only going to get trumped by Thor: Love and Thunder in 2 months.
Yep, I agree. But yeah, like it's great. Like I like everything that it sets up with him. He's the god of thunder, not the god of hammers, which Infinity War kind of d- doubles back on that. Like,
Yeah.
no, he needs a weapon. He doesn't have like in Ragnarok, he like inherits the Odin force, so he shouldn't really need a weapon. But the
Yeah.
fact that he needs it as a conduit, I don't know how I feel about that.
Piss off, Ghost. That's
Yep.
my favorite line from it. Or it sounds like you had an emotional bond with this hammer, and losing it was akin to losing a loved one. It's like, yeah, it's a good. Never thought about it that way.
I like,
all the Korg stuff is just,
or like Loki, like cheering when Hulk's going to town on Thor. Like, I love all that stuff. Or
I'm a really big fan of the sport.
or Thor telling the story about him turning into a snake so he could.
You know that I like snakes, so I picked him up and he changed it back to himself and he stabbed me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good times.
The whole thing. How many PhDs does Hulk have? 0. How many PhDs does Banner have? 7.
Yeah, and then of course, like the play at the beginning of the movie with Matt Damon as Loki is just the best. And
other Hemsworth as Thor.
Yep.
And Sam Neill as Odin.
Yes. And then of course, like having Odin be played like he is being Loki, because he is being Loki, is just the best.
Yes.
Yep.
I give a lot of credit to Anthony Hopkins on that.
Yep. But yeah, so that's my number 8.
I bet I'm going to surprise you with my number 8.
Black Panther.
No.
Oh, okay. Good.
It's Spider-Man No Way Home.
That is very surprising.
Why do I have it? Like I said, when I got to 8 and above, this is where I really had to pick nets. I have it this low because I don't have as much time with it. I've only seen it the 2 times in theaters. I haven't seen it since it came back out on digital because I want it to be streaming somewhere and I have to pay for it, and I don't want to do that. Not yet. But I just need more time to grow with it. I love the movie. It gave me such feels. There are a lot of nice things about it. It's just, okay, in comparison, I have more time and more emotional connection with the 7 movies I have above it. But it's really great. It does a lot of good things to, again, we're doing more retconning and connecting of other universes together. As weird as the story is, it somehow ends up being a pretty through line type of movie, even though there are some villains who get no shine and there are other villains who get more shine. It just is how it is. There's just not enough time for everything. The Aunt May stuff, it's wonderful. The 3 Peters, every time the 2 Peters come to talk to Tom Holland on the rooftop, I cry. Well, I've only watched it twice, but I've cried both times. And I imagine I'll always cry when it happens. It just gets me every time. It's just, there's so much to it. There's so many people who have died, who've shaped the way all of them are. And even though they're different, they're all the same. And that's insane in a multiverse, but it is what it is. That's why, I mean, I love the movie, but there's just more emotional resonance and more connective things that bring me a little bit more enjoyment with the top 7. So Spider-Man No Way Home is 8.
Okay. What's your number 7?
This is where I have Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
I just enjoy the jokes. I enjoy the Taika Waititi of it all. I love how they reinvent Thor so adamantly between, like, it was only 2 years since we saw him in Age of Ultron, but he's so wildly different. But it's not so wildly different that you're thinking it's an entirely different character, really. It's still Chris Hemsworth. There's still Thor stuff in it. It just has more of a playful undertone. And that plays to Chris Hemsworth's strengths, and I'm glad that Taika Waititi was able to get it out of him. And the Loki stuff, there's a little bit of redemption for Loki, but it's not so quick as it is in the Loki TV show. It makes a lot more sense from what the experiences we had with him for 3 prior movies coming into this one. So it always is a fun time. I'll watch it anytime it's on. Thor Ragnarok. Tessa Thompson is great as Valkyrie. Kate Blanchett's a great Hela. All those things all lead to Thor 3 being number 7.
Yeah. For me, my number 7 is Avengers Endgame.
Wow.
I know. I love it. Like, again, it's one of those movies where I will watch it every single time it's on TV. Anytime I'm scrolling through the thing and I just see it, like at my mother-in-law's, like when I'm going through the movies, because I'm sitting on the couch and I'm watching my son or whatever. Or before he came, I was just watching the movies and they were all off doing whatever they want to do. My in-laws and stuff. I would get to the A's, and before I could get to B, I would get to Avengers Endgame. I'd be like, "Yep, gonna watch that." So, like, I would deliberately, if I was just scrolling through the A's, I had to skip A completely and go to B because I knew before I got to the end of A's, I would just choose Endgame.
I hope you know we only have 2 more movies left that are the same in our top 6.
Ooh.
I just want you to know that. That's where we are right now.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. I just don't agree with it of where it is. Go to your number 6.
Okay. My number 6 is Black Panther.
Okay.
And I know that's not going to be popular. I think it's not. It's so good. Like
It's so
another
expertly crafted.
Yes. And I hate that we're not gonna get another one like it.
No.
Because like Wakanda Forever.
Well, I mean, Ryan Coogler's doing it, so
but
it'll have somewhat of a similar tone.
But yeah, like I don't think Letitia Wright will be able to be as good as Chadwick. And she's not supposed to be, so that's fine. And
Chadwick's been nominated for Oscars and she hasn't.
Yeah.
Not yet.
But I just it's such a good movie. Like it's one of those things where like Michael B. Jordan,
top 5 villain.
Like the entire cast is brilliant. Brilliant. Like it's so good. Like good job. Black Panther.
That's all you can say.
Yeah, like I don't even know. Like it's a good time. Like my wife loves it. Like she'll watch that. She doesn't watch a whole lot of MCU movies, but she will watch that one.
It's I think it's one of the ones that is least like an MCU movie based on how it's made, because there are powers in it, but it's mostly about cultural significance, and it's about lines of socioeconomic and racial divisions. And it just happens to have people with powers in it.
Yep.
That's it.
And it's like the first time where the villain's right.
For the most part. Till the end.
Like, well, I mean...
Well, I mean, not the end, but that the beginning of the third act is when he is
at least like him trying to go help the other African people out in the world.
Yes, that makes sense. But doing it at the expense of killing a bunch of other people is bad.
Right. And I think it's also weird that he's sending the stuff to London, New York, and Hong Kong.
Which is where the sanctums are.
Yep. Which I think is weird. And like I don't know if we'll ever get an answer for why
maybe there are Wakandan spies at the sanctums.
Yeah. Like, but it's interesting. It's very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So you're number 6.
Guardians 1. It's
Okay.
so enjoyable. It's a nice introduction to everyone. The only down part about it, in my estimation, is Ronan. You just need Ronan to be a little bit more charismatic, I'll say. He's cool. He's ruthless. But I don't know his motivations, and that hurts him. And that hurts a decent chunk of the movie. But other than that, I love the introductions of everyone. The soundtrack is incredible. Listen to it so many different times. James Gunn directing this, putting his stamp, his otherworldly knowledge about comic books into this movie and making it mainstream is wonderful. So that's why I have Guardians at 6.
Okay. What do you have at number 5?
I have Black Panther at 5. And this was really tough for me. But again, just it suffers a little bit in the third act. The third act fight. Honestly, if the fight in the waterfall, when he throws him over the waterfall, was the third act fight, and there was something to fill the second end of the second act, and we get rid of the Black Panther suit fighting, it's probably in the top 3 for me. But that portion with the rhinos, the CGI is a little meh. It lacks a little bit there, the third act. So that's where it loses me. But then the end part with him dying and the line he says he'd rather be dead than set in chains like his ancestors before him. I'd rather be jumping off the boat dead in the ocean than held in chains. All that stuff, and then T'Challa making the refugee headquarters in Oakland in honor of him and T'Chaka. It's all powerful, beautiful stuff. It's just the 4 movies that I have above it, I just enjoy more, and I think from top to bottom give me more throughout all 3 acts of those movies, which is why I have Black Panther at 5.
Okay. My number 5 is Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Gotcha.
Like, this is the movie where I was like, okay. Like, I didn't know how I would feel about Tom Holland as Spider-Man until this movie came out. Like, yeah, he was good in Civil War, but when this one came out, I was like, yes. They have that scene where he's buried under all the rubble, and it's great. Like, him getting up, that's good times. Like, I believe, like, if someone had told, like, I knew he was like 19 at the time or something like that, but he acted like he was a 15-year-old kid, which, guess what? Toby and Andrew, neither one of them acted like that. You could tell they were 30.
Yes.
And I honestly believe that, like, I mean, yeah, Tom Holland is a young person, and he was a young person in 2017. So he was a 20-year-old playing a 15, 16-year-old.
Yes.
So, yeah, like, yeah, it's the best.
It works out better because they knew how to cast better.
Yeah. All right. So number 9 through 5 for me is Avengers Infinity War, Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Endgame, Black Panther, and then Spider-Man Homecoming.
And my 9 through 5 are Avengers, Spider-Man No Way Home, Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Black Panther. So we have 2 that are the same in this part, and we only have 1 movie the same in the top 4.
Yep.
Or 1 MCU property, because you have something I'm very surprised is in the top 4, but okay. Do you want me to go, or do you want to start off number 4?
Yeah, my number 4 is WandaVision.
Okay.
Like, honestly, the first 7.5 episodes are my favorite MCU content ever. And then the last 1.5 episodes, it would be number 1 if the last part of 8 and 9 were extraordinary like the first 7.5 were.
Okay.
Like, it might be because the week by week by week, like, and we just started this show, and that was our thing when we started the show was talking about it. So like I have a real attachment to it, and I understand like that's me being kind of biased because it helped get my dreams of having an internet show off the ground. Because
Mhm.
guess what? If we hadn't had anything to talk about, I wouldn't be here
Yeah.
doing this.
Well, that speaks to your ability to strike while the iron is hot. So kudos to you.
Yeah. Um,
I didn't know
so
you cared about it that much. I know you liked it, but I didn't know you cared about it that much to rank it in the top 4 of all MC properties.
like I wish the last episode and a half, like it's the best. Like I kind of hate that they started the MCU television with something so good because I don't know if anything will be able to measure up to that.
Okay.
And even like with Loki having a season 2 and like future things, like I already don't think it's gonna match WandaVision. And like
No,
Moon
I
Knight
don't.
got close,
Well, to me, it surpassed it, but I understand what
but
you're saying.
like, but the others did not. And
No,
I
they
don't.
weren't close. That's why I had mine ranked. They were both, all the TV shows were ranked close to each other, but those two were the top tier by far.
Yeah. What's your number 4?
Original Iron Man is number
Okay.
4. I love it. When I did the rewatch I was doing for studying, I didn't go back and watch it because I know it so well. I watched it in college in my dorm because I was in college in 2008, so it sets everything up. You have to give it the credit it deserves for being the first, and it did it so well. It's such a well-crafted movie from A to B to C to D. The end fight's a little off, but there's some cool stuff in it about how Tony has to rely on his intellect to get out of the situation, which happens a little bit in other movies. Doctor Strange does that too, but it's more grounded and real as it can be with two people in flying metal suits. But I like all the stuff. You get to see a lot of, the inner workings of how it is that an Iron Man suit could be built in real life. Like there's a lot of beta testing with it, which is insane, but it's all compelling because you want to see how and there's a lot of failure in it, but there's a lot of graces in the failures. And that's basically what Tony Stark's life is: graces and failure. And that's really evident in Iron Man 1. And Jon Favreau's how he directed it is wonderful. All the characters in it, all the actors, great. Jeff Bridges as a villain, awesome. Up until the point where he gets into the suit, but he's so unassuming, but he's larger than life at the same time. It all plays together really well. That's why I have to have Iron Man in the top 4.
Yep. All right. What's your number 3?
Infinity War.
Okay.
It's number 3. It could have been number 1. I know a lot of people say it's a better movie than Endgame, which you'll notice is still on my list. But I can watch it so many times. It comes on TV. I put it on all the time because there's never a part in it that I'm like, ugh, I got to watch this part of Infinity War because it's all good. Even the stuff like in Nidavellir when he's trying to get, but it has freaking Peter Dinklage as a dwarf, as a giant dwarf doing stuff. You got to give, and then like nobody gives a shit about Teenage Groot, but he has such an emotionally weighty part in that movie where he makes the handle for Stormbreaker and he sacrifices. The whole time we don't think Groot gives a shit about anything. And then it comes together in that one moment. And even though it seems out of the blue, it works so well. All those things we talked about, the battle on Titan is emotionally resonant. The stuff we go in the background of Gamora is emotionally resonant. When Thor, you get all the chills in the world when Thor and Rocket and Groot come to Wakanda. When Wanda has to kill Vision only to watch Thanos bring him back and then kill Vision again so he can get, he can achieve his goal. And then Thor comes in and you think Thor's going to stop him, and he doesn't stop him, and Thanos wins. He wins. And then we're left on that emotional cliffhanger for a freaking year. There's so much good stuff I love about it, and I can't say too many good things about Infinity War, which is why I have it number 3.
All right. My number 3 is Captain America: Civil War.
Okay, I was gonna guess how your 3 were ranked, and it's definitely going the way I figured.
Okay. Yeah, like my top 3 are all involve my favorite comic book character.
Okay.
Like, and I don't want to. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. Because like, never mind. Just ignore everything I just said. But yeah, like Civil War. Like, I understand it's Cap's movie, but I have always been Team Iron Man since. Like, I think he's right. Like, I understand like Cap's perspective on, hey, we can't have a government entities telling us what to do, but you also need someone to make you accountable, which is Tony's entire thing. Like, him not being accountable for his actions is the reason why all this stuff has happened.
Mm-hmm.
He's lost the love of his life, and like, I still don't like that Steve never told Tony that Bucky killed his parents. Because, like, I don't know. Like, that's one of those things where you would think that he would know that.
Yeah.
But I guess he didn't. And, like, that's the one thing where, like, when the theories came out that the reason why Cap couldn't lift the hammer in Age of Ultron was because he was holding back that secret from his friend. And I was like, okay, I understand that. But once Tony found out, he was no longer holding the secret, which is the reason why when in Endgame he's able to do it, I was like, all right, I like that. But then, like, retroactively, they made it where, oh, he could do it the entire time. He just wanted to spare Thor's feelings, which is totally a Captain America thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, honestly, like, Zemo, out of the 3 villains, I think that were in the MCU that were right or whatever, he's the only one that really accomplished his mission.
He did.
Like,
it didn't last that long, but
yeah, I mean, but it is the only reason why Thanos was able to do what he did, because the Avengers had broken up. Like, I think if Civil War hadn't happened, Thanos doesn't get the Infinity Stones.
Probably not. No,
because then Vision and Wanda don't have to go hide off together, because if they're all in the same house, like, doing their thing. So, like, Zemo is the reason for all the horrible things that we've witnessed in the MCU from the start of Phase 3. Like, it started Phase 3 out with his plan to do this, and then it ended with Tony dying, and because of all that. So, yeah, like, that's my number 3.
Okay. Number 2 is, can I guess what it is?
Yeah.
It's the original Iron Man, I assume.
It is absolutely the original Iron Man.
Yeah.
I agree with everything that you said about Iron Man. Like, it's the best origin movie, I think, of any comic book character. Like, it's the kind of the thing that
it probably is. 2002 Spider-Man's pretty close.
Pretty good,
yeah.
And yeah, like, it's so good. Like, and it started it all. Like, yeah, I know a lot of people complain that, oh, hey, the villain just has the same power as the hero, but they're evil. Like, that all started with Iron Man 1. Like,
yeah. So again, that's not the most compelling part. It's how the fight goes. It's
And-
how horror like it is when Ironmonger like kills all the shield agents, almost kills Pepper, and then
and like
it's bringing stuff back from what Tony had learned into the fight about the armor. It's all
like Tony, him building the suit, he knows that he had to fix his suit so it could fly up there, but Obadiah wouldn't have known that because he stole the technology.
Yep.
And
he's also not a genius. He's also not a genius as well.
Yes. And even like the cool scene in Far From Home where you re-see the scene from Iron Man with Obadiah and the professor or the scientist or whatever. Like, it's good. Like, I kind of hate that that's the end of Obadiah Stane, but it happens. Like,
I mean, it also started the trend of villains are one and done and they die very quickly.
Yep. All right. So what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Okay.
When I was doing my rewatch, I was watching all the bad movies that I really didn't want to watch, aka Thor, Iron Man 2. Well, I didn't watch Iron Man 2. Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America: First Avenger was on that list because it's a little boring. Iron Man 3, Thor 2. And then I was like, I'm sick of watching the stuff I don't want to watch. What am I going to do to palate cleanse? I'm going to watch Winter Soldier. You know why? Because it's freaking epic. And everything about it is epic. And even though it's grounded, it has no space stuff in it. Introducing Sam Wilson, the relationship between Captain America and Black Widow, Nick Fury and how it is he goes about still trying to be the smartest person in the room and succeeding for the most part, making everybody believe he's dead. Robert Redford is the villain. Robert Redford, man. Oscar-nominated dude who was in things like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sting, All the President's Men. Yeah. Captain America: Winter Soldier is number 2. And it's a great choice because it's the first genre movie. And it's the best genre movie of all of them. As a spy thriller, as a 3 Days of the Condor meets a superhero movie. That's what we get with Captain America: Winter Soldier. And it's only because of what number 1 does to me emotionally and how I never not want to watch it is the only reason why it's above Winter Soldier. I think Winter Soldier is definitely a better movie, but this is, again, where I'm splitting hairs. And in this case, from 2 to 1, I'm doing it based on what I love the most.
Okay. So you obviously, like, you have the list, so you know what mine is, and I know what yours is.
Okay.
But, I mean, yours is Endgame, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will ever be assailed. That Endgame won't be my number 1.
Yeah, honestly, like, I thought that for a long time, but
yet it's your number 7.
Yeah. But rewatching these movies for, like, in the last, like, few months, like, my kids have watched all the MCU movies minus Incredible Hulk. And rewatching them all with my children, like, that made, like, the more profound thoughts that I had about the movies be like, oh, yeah. So, let's see. Hey.
What?
I like the way you think.
Oh, there you go. Yep, obviously your number 1 is Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yes, it is. And it is purely because of all the things that happen in the movie, like all the Spider-Man coming back. Like, I understand that. Like, yeah, I've bought it on Amazon. I watched it in the theater. I've also watched it like 3 times on Prime because just the scenes with the 3 Spider-Man in the lab is so good. Like, I don't know if Tom is my favorite Spider-Man. He is definitely the best Spider-Man. But the fact that there's interactions between him and Toby were things that I thought I would never see. I never thought like, oh, they'll actually like have all three Spider-Men in a movie together. And also all their really good villains. Like, and they'll do better for some of those villains that like I wish they had done better for Topher Grace's Venom. But they mentioned him, so at least there's some redeeming light there. But yeah, like I just like Spider-Man is my favorite uh superhero that ever, because like I was that kid. I mean, I'm sure you were as well, like the nerdy weirdo that no one liked.
No, I was a jock, man.
Oh, well.
No, Spider-Man's my favorite character too, and I know my highest ranking is 8, but it's just because as an adult, 7 movies above it just resonated a little bit more with me. Now, had these come out when I was a kid, I think Spider-Man No Way Home would have been higher. The other Spider-Man probably would have been ranked higher too, but as an adult, I don't have as much of a connection with Spider-Man, even though I watched Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies when I was a teenager. It's not the same, so that's why there's that gulf. Your number 7 is my number 1. My number 8 is your number 1. How about that?
Yeah. But yeah, like I think it's so good. Like it's one of those things where like my kids have seen No Way Home and they don't understand why. Like my wife also saw No Way Home with me. Technically, my newborn was in the room because he was in. Like this was his first superhero movie that he ever got to hear. Like, and I'm probably gonna cry on camera because of that thing that I just said. But like they don't understand like the connection, but they all loved it. All 3 of them. I mean, Ezra doesn't have the like ability to make an opinion about such things, but I'm sure he'll love it. Like and I hate that like I have to buy Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 and the Amazing Spider-Man movies so that my kids understand it more. Like that's really like I wish they were just readily available somewhere, but maybe they will be one day. Like I don't know.
Who knows?
It's just it's the movie for me. Like I'm sure if there was ever like an X-Men movie that had an MCU X-Men movie that had Hugh Jackman and all of that stuff in it, I'd probably feel the same way because like Spider-Man 1 and the first X-Men movie were like very instrumental to me being a kid, realizing that hey, I read these things and these things are cool now. Eventually I'll be cool. It didn't really happen, but eventually the
Kids
thought was
cool.
yeah, I mean I'm cool now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm married and have 3 children. Woo.
Pretty sick, man. So my number 4 through 1, Iron Man, Infinity War, Winter Soldier, Endgame.
And my 4 through 1 is WandaVision, Captain America Civil War, Iron Man 1, and Spider-Man No Way Home.
So we had 1 in there. I think in our rankings and our groupings, we probably had about 8 to 10 the same.
Yeah.
But we had a couple that were right on the money. Moon Knight and the Doctor Stranges. I think were the only ones. And Thor, the original Thor. The biggest gap we had between movies was Guardians 2. 15 spots between them. And then Guardians 1 had 13 spots between them. So apparently you and I think about Guardians very, very differently. As you and I think about Spider-Man apparently differently as well.
Yeah. That's the reason why, I think Spider-Man is probably the best trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
But
you had them all in the top 12.
Yep. But if someone says Captain America is, I can't argue with you because I understand. Like, I personally don't like the first Captain America very well, but I can understand people that do. And But if anyone ever tells me that the Thor movies or the Iron Man movies are the best trilogy, I'll get into the internet.
In my opinion, they both only have one good movie.
Yes, they
It's a
do.
good to great movie, and then the others are bad to poo-poo.
Yes, they
Well,
sure are.
everybody out there in SuperNova Show, you heard us talk, I think, for basically an hour and a half about these rankings. So you go out there and you message us and you decide who you think had the better rankings. Maybe, there's no real good way to post them necessarily relative to where the video is, but you heard it. You can watch it. Tell us who you think did a better job.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, hey, tweet at me. I got a Twitter at Colton Roberts 8, and you can tweet at the show at @supernova_show. That'd be good. Yeah, like good times all around.
Yeah,
Can't
I don't think
complain.
there's more to say about the rankings. I think we gave them enough.
Yeah, I think Thor 4 has the potential to shake up this list.
Thor 4, given the bit we saw about it, is probably, even without seeing it, probably a top 10 MCU movie.
Yep.
And then it has the potential to be top 6 for me, for sure.
Yeah, and I think Guardians 3 also has the potential. And I know they're eventually going to make a Nova movie, and I understand that unless it's absolutely garbage, I will absolutely love it because he's also one of my favorite superheroes. So like that is totally me being biased.
I'm not sure if any of the shows we have coming up will broach any of this. I'm not sure.
No, like the only thing I think it might
Secret
do
Wars is the only thing I think.
Yeah, Secret Invasion might do it.
Yeah.
Or like if when Loki season 2 comes out, that might. Or like
Iron Wars, the Iron or whatever it is. What was it? Is it Iron Wars?
Armor Wars.
Armor Wars. Thank you. That I'm interested in, just because Don Cheadle's been the lead of shows before, and they've been fairly successful. So I believe that he could do that again.
Yeah, and then maybe Fantastic Four if they get presented.
I'm not sure. I don't know about that. We'll see.
I don't know.
But I think it's about time we wrap this up, buddy. So
yeah, I agree.
The farewell banner on it. Let's go ahead and let's peace out for today.
Yep.
Everybody, don't forget to tip your virtual waitresses out there in the SuperNova Show landscape. Boys, girls, everything in between. Let's go.
All right.